How did an old, dilapidated sheep shearing shed in the middle of the Karoo become home to some of the most beautiful artisanal products the region has to offer? Well, that's what Nicol Grobler and his wife Klaradyn have done with the Karoo Padstal. This oasis, situated just off the National Road, just outside Richmond, has become a major tourist destination in an area which needs all the growth it can get. As we start what I hope will become a series of conversations focusing on tourism success stories in the more hidden parts of our country. Let's cross now live to Richmond in the Northern Cape, where we find Nicol Grobler himself. Nicol, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I'm pretty sure it's been a crisp Karoo morning for you. Take us back to the start. You and your wife opened a guest house and cafe in the little town of Richmond some 8 years ago. Give us a short synopsis of what led you to taking that leap.
Marcel, we were just, I was basically retired as an architect. We were looking for something different, another sort of career path or something. And yes, Richmond was in the middle of the Karoo. We love the Karoo spans and the quietness of it. And Richmond was ideal. It was halfway between Johannesburg and Cape Town on the N1. So in a tourist business, that's the ideal place to be. So we started the guest house, but then stumbled across this empty sheep shearing shed on the N1. It gave us the opportunity to sort of put up a shop front, if you will, for Karoo products, because people charge through from Joburg to Cape Town and other way, and they don't always have the chance to veer off too much and go into and see how much creativity there is in the Karoo, how many people make wonderful products, and we're just trying to put that all together in one spot for them.
Now, before we talk some more about the beautiful things that you offer in what I've called the oasis, really, in the middle of the Karoo. I mean, we're coming out of a few years of a lockdown, and we've had a wave of people leaving big cities like Johannesburg and almost throwing a dart at the middle of the South African map and deciding to take on these small towns in all of their simplistic glory. And I remember getting hooked on a show on another Afrikaans platform called Karoo Padstal, where you had stories being told about these city slickers who've decided to go and make their life in the middle of South Africa. It's been great news for small town South Africa. I'm sure you agree. But tell us a little bit about what makes Richmond special. From what I remember, I think it was first known as a book haven, as a place where bibliophiles gather a few times a year. What for you it makes Richmond so special?
Yes, that definitely drew us. It is the only registered book town, as it means, in Africa, apparently, or in South Africa, definitely. And also the arts. There's a fantastic art gallery, a modern art project, which is a collection of South African installation art, the largest in the country under one roof, apparently. A fantastic place, regularly curated and updated, and yeah, so there's a lot happening. If you sort of drive past, you don't always see that from the N1, but we encourage people to drive into Richmond, drive down the main, which used to be the old N1, way back when, and see what happens here. I mean, there's the horse museum, there are little antique shops, and wonderful places. Map art projects is an absolute must. You must stop there. They've got a book binding project at MAP, a lot to do with books and art, and Rich, definitely. Well, I always think of it as the Karoo architecture is on the street, and you've got courtyard living in the back. It's a Mediterranean sort of way of living, and the Karoo is like that. The N1 just shows you sort of the facade, but you've got to go into the courtyard, into the town itself in the back to experience what's going on there.
Talk to me a little bit about the relationship of those who've decided to maybe start a different phase or chapter in their life in these small towns like Richmond. I suppose we could call you I'm sure the locals call you the inkommers or something like that. But you come in and you come with these wonderfully creative ideas, and you want to do these amazing things and create these beautiful places in this arid environment. Was there a bit of pushback from the locals saying you want to do what? Do you know people only come through here in December and then that's it? What's the dynamic been like between folks like yourself and people who've lived there their whole lives?
Yeah, you see, one must realize that the farming community, which most probably is the strongest community in this area, it's a farming area, they've been here for 6, 7 generations on one farm. So they've been around forever. And you're right, we are then incomers, but we were welcomed. I mean, I think we kept on saying that the more happening down the street, the more people will actually want to come in and turn off and experience it, and sort of encourage the growth in our local economy, which, as you know, is all over, and especially in the Karoo, it's a struggling economy, and we need people to turn and spend a few to help us to create jobs and stir up life here. We've got something new that's recently happened. Is the Karoo? It's a Richmond theatre, which is the Kraal. It's a little music venue, absolutely wonderful. Some of the musicians traveling up and down the N1 just stop over for a night, stay over, give a show, and that again plows into our local community, the local farmers and the local Richmonders. Then we benefit from that again. It's really been a nice experience.
And let's just finally focus on the products that you offer at the Karoo Padstal, because that in itself is also encouraging quite a bit of growth and economic activity, because you really have brought the local artisanal talent to the fore. People who make things beautifully with their hands that perhaps wouldn't have found a platform to be seen by people who are traveling through the area. How do you go about selecting whose wares you put on your shelves in the Karoo Padstal?
You know, I think people offer their wares to us by now, and they come along and bring. We get honey from the neighboring farm, and we get eggs from some other farmers in the area, breakfast, and then products from all over the Karoo, handmade goods and preserves and things. You're right that we can then sort of one shop front for Karoo products in general. And there are people who make things in town as well, handmade products and ladies who crochet and knit things. So it's become a bit of an industry that supports the local economy. You're right, yes, yeah.
And I'm sure you'd agree that a place like Richmond is something that can be a destination. It doesn't just have to be a place that people dash on through as they go either to Cape Town or Joburg.
Yes, traditionally we are a stopover town. There are many wonderful guest houses all around, and the tourist economy. I mean, the N1 is the artery running by right on our doorstep. The main artery feeds our economy, I think, apart from culture, and to have a guest house and tourists turn off, that is what we aim for. Many wonderful guest houses in Richmond. So it is known as an overnight place, because becoming more of a destination. People tend to sort of say, we want to stay an extra day, we want to go down the street, we want to go into the horse museum, or we want to go and see the art project. Yeah, it's true.
Okay, we're going to leave it there.
It's becoming more of that, not necessarily a lot of it.
But we can wish for so much more, and hopefully we've planted a couple of seeds with people who wouldn't have considered spending more time in a place like Richmond. Thank you so much for your time, to you and your family, Nicol Grobler, and the teams who run the beautiful businesses that you have up and running in Richmond. The Karoo Padstal, you can find it about 20 kilometers on the Joburg side of Richmond in the Northern Cape. So if you do want to find out more, they're on Facebook and all of that kind of thing, but you really can't miss them on the National Road.